Today we're doing a meditation celebration on one of the four great Buddhist holidays. This one is affectionately known here as Happy Mother's Day because this commemorates Shakyamuni's visit to his mother. His mother died about 7 days after birth, according to tradition. 7 may be a magical number, but he was raised by his stepmother, Mahapajapita, who became the abbess in the order of nuns. I hope most of you are here when the nuns from Chanchup Chuling came. It was really fantastic, don't you think? So we need to keep in touch with them. So that was very special. They, Geshe-ma, one of the few nuns now trained, fully the same scholastically as monastics would be. But they're turning them out now. I think there's maybe graduated 80 or 90. Which is really fantastic. It's still a small number, but it's really fantastic. And Geshe-ma Yeshe Sangpo was really sweet, don't you think? And gave a good talk on the 8 verses, Lojong text. And then they liked it here, so they actually stayed for lunch and did the full Chu practice. Usually if they're doing kind of a performance and they want to get out, they would do a few little things and then they'd get, well, that was fun, okay. And then but they actually did the full practice, boom, boom, right? Boom, 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 and then okay, like that. So they weren't using the skull, the femur and the skull this time. So maybe someday we'll do some practice. So LhaBab Duchen, who we did her prayer, she was an interesting mother. So she learned the Prajnaparamita texts by heart, and because of that was asked to give recitations in people's homes. That's a big thing. And in China too, I think, in Japan too, like you'd have people just give a reading. And she evolved a tantric, it's kind of a tantric version of the Heart Sutra. So maybe in the ceremony, people recognize the mantra, Taita Om, Gati Gati, right? So you go to the places that scare you, right? That was one of her lines, pith instructions, and of course, one of Pema Chodron's title of her book. So the Mother's Day, we should use this practice, and I'll give it to the Sangha as bit of a, use the Zen term, bit of a koan. In other words, it's a practice point to make clear. So the Buddha didn't visit his mother immediately because he was a kid. At some point, and I don't know how old he was, I'll have to look, he felt he needed to visit his mother, who he identified was in the heaven of the 33, which is a very exalted heaven. Because of course in Buddhist mythology and cosmology, there are lots of heavens. You can go to heaven if you want to. So if you're Buddhist and you don't have to like come back here or achieve nirvana, you can go to heaven. We have plenty. Or Pure Lands. Anyway, so the question to ask in our own practice is, when is it as grown-ups we'd want to visit our mother? What brings us to visit our mother? Now, Buddhist idea is that the mother exists on different levels. So the practice component isn't just our actual birth mother, but the mother of us all, the mother of the Buddhas. So just a little, we just read the Heart Sutra, so this should be like a gimme. Who is the mother of the Buddhas? Okay, that's one answer. That's true. She's called the mother of the Buddhas. Heart Sutra, who's the mother? Oh, please, I'm going to lose my Lama license. Prajna Paramita, right? Yeah, Prajna. Can you bring Prajna Paramita up on the screen again? Yeah, so psychologically or from a personal world, we need to be clear why would how would we initiate, or what would take it to initiate like, Mom, I want to come see you? Because I was a normal kind of child, and probably I'd always wait until my mom calls me or something like that. You haven't called in a long time, you know. So I'm trying to think, you know, when did I initiate? When did I initiate? Like, hey, what's up? I want to. There she is. So that's something to clarify in our practice. When is it that we don't wait for wisdom, don't wait for our mother to call, but we, you know, reach out like that? Another practice topic to investigate, which is interesting, is the Buddha stayed a long time in visiting. And they have another 33 visiting with his mother, and his close disciples, you know, were aware of this, and they said, you know, it's time to come back. And do you know the story? Who knows the story? Well, you guys don't know the story? Okay, good. So, yeah, I didn't want to come back. Shariputra, yeah, Shariputra also in Lama Sutra. So that's very interesting. So we think, why would you want to come back? You know, if you're dwelling in Prajna Paramita, why would you want to come back? Mm-hmm. Mm. So from a relative point of view, that's a very good answer. Of course, because we think, oh, the beings that need us. So is it possible that also in the functioning of interdependence, we won't stay forever in the complete state of emptiness of the Dharmakaya? The personal self will emerge, right? So in some traditions, they say, okay, we should stay permanently in oneness, you know, we should just achieve the oneness and the wisdom mind that way and just stay there, right? That's typical in the Vedic yoga systems. The Buddha system, at least in our traditions, a little bit different. So it's interesting, the Buddha, there's an emergence also from that place of undifferentiation, of oneness or non-dual. There's an emergence back into the world again, and prosaically we call that the post-meditation experience. So in meditation, whatever you're doing, if you really do a lot, at some point, there's a complete merging, you see, and we feel like, oh, I'm enlightened, something like that. And uh, that's nice. We're usually alone, because then when we come out of meditation and have to do something, then what happens to that state? What? Yes. Now, from one point of view, we could say that's awful, because then you're losing it. But there's a state of practice where the personal self reemerges, but does not forget the mother. So you're coming back, and someone's saying, "Did you feed the cats?" And suddenly you're back. But in the mature practice, we don't forget that we don't forget the mother, you see. So it's very interesting when we look at it from a practice point of view, how we journey to the mother and we want to stay there in a sense, but that naturally, in a sense, we're also, that kind of samadhi is broken up, you see. We must reemerge as a personal self, but this time, when we say it's post-enlightenment or post meditation practice, then the personal self is not alienated or disconnected from the wisdom mind. It's operating with the wisdom mind as its content, like that. So maybe the Buddha, you know, pretended that he didn't want to come back, or maybe Shariputra got worried. That would be a psychological interpretation, right? Maybe a little bit. So these are things to work out personally, like in darshan, to take these myths, these stories, these holidays, and then make them our own, not only with our own personal mothers, but our inner mother, and with Prajnaparamita herself, don't you think? Yes. I don't, that's a good question. That would be an interesting personal practice. Yeah, it might be part of the lore. I'm not as great a scholar. We'd have to see, but to make it our own part of our own practice, it would be, well, what would we say for the Buddha to come back, right? So if you're going to be on the spot, you raised your hand. What would you say?
You gotta come back. Like, where are you going? Help with your mother. That's clearly coming up for me, right?
Yeah.
But then it is
Yeah.
wonder about, like, well, why would anyone bother him? Like, he went 41 years, he didn't ever really get to have a relationship with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
So what? So I don't know. Clearly,
It's in teacher-student relationships, that isn't that uncommon. So occasionally students do remind teachers of their vows, right? We know that the Buddha, a number of different times, because this is documented, at least in the Vinaya and some of the sutras, like there were arguments in the Sangha, so he just said, I'm out of here. So, I think there could be different things. Shariputra could have said, we could do some scholarship, but definitely one could be enough's enough. Okay, definitely. So laying kind of a little guilt on one's teacher is not alien to the Buddhist tradition. But I liken the actual lineage tradition more to the mafia than anything. Come back or else. So guilt plus punishment or something. You know, because that's people think like Jada Rinpoche visits, Kenshin Rinpoche visits, these Kenshin Rinpoche visits, and they they'll say, okay, let's have lunch. So they do their version of Tibetan checking. Tibetan checking would be like, things are going really well here. I'm really glad to be back, you know. Former abbot of Sergey, who is the gave the Vajragini empowerment, you were there, you know. So things are going really good. And then a little bit of like, you don't want to let things drop off, do you? Right? It's this little other, you know, like is little words where, yeah, other centers have let things drop off. Pause, you know. He's really a full tantric teacher. He's all over the world, you know, it's amazing. Like, on Facebook, you know, it's all over, it's crazy. We jump up and down and giggle a lot, but really the interesting thing he said, so just the most important thing that impressed him was the recovery program. Yeah. So we each have our version of Shariputra and our version of Buddha. So these are practice things to work with. What time is it? Okay. I wanted to introduce the practice, not to lead you in the meditation, but to point you. It has a very unsexy name, the 7-part cause and effect meditation for developing bodhicitta. It's like doesn't sound very cool. But it's based on developing bodhicitta, the wish to be a Buddha to benefit others, that you can't bear their suffering, based on meditation on not only your personal mother, but mother sentient beings. So this is generally has to be kind of contextualized in Western society, because someone's going to say, well, I didn't have a very good relationship with my mother, or the mother was mean or abusive or stuff like that. Let's see, 50 years ago, when I was first encountering Dharma, what do you think the teacher said at that time? Suck it up, get over it. Yeah, you know, what are you talking about? Of course, we all love our mothers, because traditionally in Tibet, particularly, or any tribal society, is even if the mother was terrible, you say, I love my mother, I'm going to take care of her, and that's it. I mean, the archetype is so strong. But now it's 50 years later, you know, then they're going to say, well, okay, you know, like we understand that, and maybe our mothers weren't perfect too, but we meditate on the kindnesses of the mother, not on the imperfections, right? So Buddha Dharma is very very half full glass instead of half empty. So just like doing Guru Yoga, when we're always meditating on the positive qualities of our teacher, and not in ignorance of the negative qualities or difficult qualities, but you're taking refuge and you're doing the Guru Yoga, of course, in the positive qualities. People wonder, there's interesting, most interesting kind of useful book, maybe like Alex Berson's book relating to a spiritual teacher. And he has another book called Balanced Sensitivity. So Dr. Berson's an old hand, a little bit pedantic, but the idea is that with your mother or your teacher, then you're seeing the person, but you're seeing the archetype of the person also. And you're emphasizing their positive qualities. We're not ignoring the negative qualities, but works in relationships too, generally. You can find positive qualities in someone, then the couple counseling tends to go better. So I'll take you through the 7 steps very quickly. The 0 step is developing equanimity. Does anybody know what the 0 step is in recovery? 12 step? That's correct. Good. How's that going for you? All right. Yeah. Right answer. So it does take a lot of meditation and equanimity that before we start on mothers or developing compassion, because many people start trying to develop positive qualities and then they get flooded, by the negativity. So the equanimity is as screwed up as everybody is over many lifetimes. We think, or we've tried our best to be happy and free from pain. And we basically all want the same thing. And we're both, over a whole span of lifetimes, we've all done it all. There are many confession purification practices in Vajrayana, and some of the most powerful is just, we say, over the course of many lifetimes. So you have to kind of accept that going forward too. I did it, I'm doing it, and I probably will do it. Something like that. We've done it all. So we want to be happy, we want to be free of pain, and we've also incredibly, been stupid and voted the wrong way, in many lifetimes, right? So people that we don't like because they didn't vote for our candidate. Maybe they were our mothers in our past lives and they just want to be free too, right? Yeah. So very heavy practice these days is to develop equanimity, particularly political equanimity, which I promote. It's like everyone's interested in, the same topics. So we're interested in immigration, we're interested in health. We might have different points of view, but start with what we're interested in. So as human beings, we're all interested in the same thing, right? So that's the 0 step. We've all, done it all. We all want to be happy. Are you with me? Okay. Then there's that kind of further jump to, if there have been infinite births, then at some point, everybody's also been our mother. That takes some further work, right? How many zeros before you just kind of say, well, I guess that would be true. Like 1 trillion times the power of 30, I don't know. So that's kind of an emotional mental leap, because there've been infinite births and there will be infinite births. At some point, every being, we've been their mother, they've been our mother. It's okay. We're leaving Kansas now, right? We're leaving the scientific world, right? Okay, just entertain it as, just as a possibility. So those 2 things are kind of the building blocks. is the great equanimity, which is one of the four Brahma Viharas. Who knows by heart the Brahma Viharas? Everybody knows them? Right. Right. So another writing, yeah, feeling good. Yeah. So it changes the order sometimes, but equanimity, love, compassion, and joy. Yeah, sympathetic joy. Why don't we say empathetic joy? So those therapists, they won't allow us to say sympathetic anymore. Have you noticed that? You can't say that. No, it's not sympathy, it's empathy. Get it right. No, it's like, no, we can say sympathetic joy. So yeah, my friend Lama Gursim now mostly teaches in New York. He's said a couple of times in talks that I had him talks that if you just do the Brahma Viharas, you'll become enlightened. Really, just do that, because they're unlimited. They're wisdom minds. They're not. You're not just doing them with your personal, self. They're unlimited. So they're unconstructed. They're unconditioned minds, right? So sometimes unconditional is a nice word, or Brahma Viharas, whatever, immeasurable. So those two are important. Equanimity and just the possibility that everyone's been our mother. So that's the 0 and 1. The second one is then we remember the kindness of our mothers. That took me a while just personally, because as a teenager and then in college, it wasn't, my mom was the one that was always kind of bugging me. But now I can look back and remember many kindnesses. So my meditation's gotten better. I don't think I could have done this as a teenager or younger man, right? It definitely would have been hard to do before having teenagers or kids myself. It's like, oh yeah, I got it. So traditionally coming out of India and Tibet, there's a big thing with, people can bring up many examples, and the classic ones are the mother went through a lot of pains, carrying us for many months, went through a lot of pain, feeding us, putting up with our colic and screaming, just incredible patience. So that those aspects of the motherhood and caring and sacrificing are classic. I think perhaps in Indian and Tibetan culture, the dad was the one that would be a little bit more the heavy, yeah. It was different in my family. My mother was the one like, did you, clean out the cat box, and why didn't you get an A plus? I just see an A here. Was there a problem? But many kindnesses. So we're remembering the kindnesses and the difficulties and the sacrifices. Each one of these would be kind of actually a long meditation. This isn't something you kind of run through really quickly. This would be like, like at least take a week, at least, really become absorbed. Then the next one, the third one is then we want to repay that love. Generally, somebody does something nice for us. We're still kind of basically good creatures. We tend to do them nice back, right? It's natural. So we meditate on ways of repaying. how we can repay our moms. So that might be just calling or showing up or becoming enlightened or meeting Prajna Paramita or going to law school, which I didn't, but okay. The next one is based on this. We develop the fourth, which is great love. So the great love is love that's taken into hyperspace where it's spilled over from a transactional I'm repaying a kindness or repaying love to it just starts flowing, like you've got the turbines going, it's just going. So there's an unconditional quality about it, and where the love is traditionally you want to preserve that person, you want them to be happy, you want them to reach their goals, you want to remove obstacles from them. And that style naturally goes to compassion, which is defined in this case as wanting to relieve them of suffering. So of course, nothing's worse than when your kid's sick or in the hospital or something like that, and there's a helpless feeling. Most parents, even the really bad ones, generally want to do something to relieve the child, and would even substitute, like, okay, could you just give me the sickness? I'll do it. By the way, that's that called exchanging self and others. That is the foundation of Tonglen practice from Mojang, which is the sending and the taking. Tong means to send, Len means to take. So you send your health to someone and you're willing to exchange, like that. Atisha, the teacher that went to Tibet in the 11th century, first trained in India and then heard about this teacher in Sumatra and Bali area. Does anybody know where Sumatra is? That's right. Yeah, it's down there. No, it's one of those big islands, yeah. So he was in India, and by that portion of northern India, and have been studying it for a long time. I know this is kind of a long talk, but I'll finish it soon, so it's okay. Yeah, all right. So he heard like there was this teacher called Serlingpa, and who lived there, and there was this had this fantastic teaching that was kind of whispered around. And what do you think the teaching was? The teaching was on bodhicitta. Yeah. So of course he knew about bodhicitta, but the buzz was there's this fantastic teacher that teaches bodhicitta, that'll be incredible. So actually he made a journey up, which is incredible at the time, and stayed in Sumatra for like 12 years. And came back and taught this training and taught also the Tonglen training, so taught the bodhicitta training. Always said that's the most important thing you ever got, bodhicitta, that's it. So actually in the tradition, our tradition, if you always want to give the right answer, what are you going to say? Bodhicitta. That's a gimme. So if somebody goes, what's the whole point of what you're doing? And or what are you doing? And don't go like, well, I'm trying to, don't say, I'm trying to pay attention to my breath. No, don't say that. Just say, just say, if you get a Tibetan, then I'll look like an idiot. Okay, it's about me. Okay, so if the Tibetan teachers come and they just corner you, kind of like the people from JCO or whatever at the hospital, you're supposed to like, et cetera. They had meetings. We want you to memorize the Sutter motto because people from JCO are going to stop and ask you. Nobody ever did. I memorized it like an idiot. So Ooh, nuts. But yeah, if a teacher, like all the teachers are coming from, if they pull you aside and they say, what the heck do you think you're doing here? Just bodhicitta, okay, like that. And then you'll have it. So, okay. Based on the great love and the great compassion, number 6 is it's uh, called, the translation is exceptional resolve. So this is the turning point. You then you've gotten to this point where you go, I really have to do something about this. I really have to help people, and I'm, you know, I'm not. I right now I'm not totally up to it. I'm kind of a schlemiel or something. I'm just. Am I saying the right words? You know, I'm like a nebbish kind of person. So I have to improve myself. I have to be a Buddha in order to fully help others. Because if I only help people a little bit, that could mess them up more. You know, a little bit of knowledge is not so good. You know, you get the dosage wrong on the Geodon, you know, and then it's all over. So you have to be a total Buddha. So the resolve is it isn't just that you want to help others and you want to be kind and loving and compassionate, but you have this drive. You must be fully awake if you really want to benefit others and not screw them up. Yeah, no pressure. So the okay, so the last thing. Okay. Um, so in a Mahayana approach, or kind of a little bit secular approach, then you generate this great resolve, and it kind of propels you, um, even though you feel you're not up to it. You know, you think, well, many people have done this, maybe I can do it too. Um, a tantric approach where you have a teacher is you actually also call on the teacher in the lineage to help out. So uh, it's like doing a full Brahma Vihara is a full thing. Is, you know, you start like, wouldn't it be nice if all beings were happy? And then you stay with that a while. It'd be nice. And then, you know, I wish all beings were happy. Then the next step is, I must. So that's this I must. But then the tantra thing is, please, Gurudev, send me the energy. So that's a little bit of a higher power pull. Like, please, then you call in for help. Personally, I like calling for help. So it's not bootstrap. So when we do that, when we fully have the resolve from our side, and then we ask for help to complete it, then we have the full bodhicitta. Because there is a danger from our side that people become Lone Ranger kind of cowboy types, you know. So you should always have like a treatment team or your consult group, right? You know. So we ask for help. We don't say we're doing it all alone, but then it's fully kind of actualized, and then that you get buttonholed, and some Rinpoche says, "What are you guys doing at Lions Roar?" I can go, "What a cheetah." I go, "Wow." Yeah. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because it's now noon. We could have a discussion, or people might be tired and want to take a break. Don't have to, you know.
I think I appreciate the last part. Can you talk a little bit more? Oh, may not hear me. No.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few people in virtual land today.
That's good.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so step 7, is that the must, the feeling compelled, the 7 steps, or is it 0 to 6?
The 0 to 6 is you're jumping on the diving board, and the 7 is you've taken the leap.
Okay.
You've actualized it.
And can you talk a little bit more about the role of Sangha in the 7? Because I feel like I'm curious about the role of Sangha in step 7.
So in tantric style, we actually, in a sense, we have like 4 jewels: Lama, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, like that, because we make an emphasis on you need a personal teacher. But you're always taking refuge in the 3 jewels. So the Sangha would be people are going to kind of cheer you on, definitely nudge you a little bit, but basically cheer you on. And I think that's been a little harder in America. That's the real benefit of kind of close monastic life, because you will actually get lots of encouragement. But that's essential. I don't know if we do it here. I encourage it, like people saying, coming afterwards, or hearing that you're meditating on bodhicitta. Traditionally, people would, like, they just, it's funny, but they're just thrilled. They're like dumbfounded and thrilled, like, wow, you're really doing it. So it is important, and that we encourage others, and that we welcome encouragement, because there's really no lone rangers. We're doing it from our side, but we're doing it with others. So as Stephen Batchelor's book says, we're alone with others. We have to do it. We have our own agency and initiative and karma, or our own individual mind stream, but we're not going to be able to do it without others. So there's a little bit of and then we're thinking about all the other people that have generated bodhicitta, the people we've met, and that's important. So they don't have to be, traditionally Buddhist. I mean, we have our heroes that are personal, or maybe historic or mythical, and then we think about that. It's enormously validating when someone, like, gives you kind of like, hey, great, so I'm sure, if like we got a private audience with the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama said, hey, you're doing a great job. You're not just going to blow it off. You're not just going to say, well, he says that to everybody. You're going to go, yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, it'll make a difference, right? Yeah, it's enormously important. That's why we have this brick and mortar building, so people can actually meet with each other and say, nice to see you. Glad you're still practicing bodhicitta, doing the bodhisattva practice. Yeah, like that. Oh, great.
I keep I'm kind of got to go back a little bit to the story that because it keeps kind of rumbling around in my head. But to me, like, if the Buddha didn't come back, then he would never have been. So it kind of seems to me like, I don't know if that's taking it too far, but if he went to Prajnaparamita and she's the Buddha of the mothers, if Shariputra didn't call him back, then he might not have ever come. It's like an endless kind of birth story in a way. It's kind of struck me as kind of meta.
Not sure exactly the question, but or maybe it's a comment. Someone like
Am I taking it too far? Or is
Um,
there something there that's kind of like the cosmic egg?
um, so there's enlightenment. So if we say enlightenment, people say, I don't think I'll ever get enlightened. Well, you better get enlightened because otherwise things are really going to get worse. So enlightenment just means you see things as they are, right? Mhm. So in a way, just a little bit how I'm doing the story. Um, uh, there was still like a need for full Buddhahood, like we can get enlightened, but that doesn't mean that's not full Buddhahood from the standpoint of our tradition. Um, uh, Someone has to also be like a good teacher too, so we have to have the skills. So someone could say, I see the nature of reality, it's interdependent, I'm completely spacious, I'm not selfish, jerk, but they may not have, they may not want to teach, they may not have decided to, get some skills. So my teacher, like, I wanted to be a writer and have my own magazine and stuff like that. I did for a while and I went broke. But my teacher, like, the best thing here, everyone's kind of crazy in America. Why don't you do this? And I really didn't want to do therapy, just so you know. Uh, okay, I'll do it. But it's given some skills, right? So if you want to help people, you have to develop your skills, whether it's artistic or medical or psychological or carpentry or music. We can't just say, so the Buddha's developed the skill and the motivation to teach, correct? So we know, like, the Buddha emphasized many times, because we have this kind of poem, the Buddhas do not wipe away karma with water. That was kind of a slam on, you can't just go to the Ganga and can't get baptized. Then the Buddhas do not heal by laying on of hands. The Buddhas cannot, this is important, cannot transfer realizations. What's the last? Buddhists only teach. That's the other thing, that's another thing when somebody asks, what are you doing? We're doing this. Yeah, so I think there was, I'm a little progressive in the sense, I could say the Buddha's practice matured over the years, right? We know that it taught differently as time went on. There was probably perhaps 50 years of teaching, and there were he taught differently as he went on, right? So, we would say he became a better teacher, don't you think? Hopefully. It wasn't just like, okay, got it. I'm done. I'll just keep telling the same story. No, I mean, we know that, and he talked about it, he matured as a teacher, which also means you're mature with you're developing a larger reservoir. Does that make sense? Is that kind of toward it? Yeah, like that. I think dealing with a lot of complaining Sangha people also matured him quite a bit too, right? And unfortunately too, he had over the course of 50 years, there were various students that took their own life, right? So many, we tend not to look at that, but there were many difficulties, many difficulties. So I'm sure he had to mature and change some of his style of teaching. Definitely had to make a bunch of rules. So when Khyentse Rinpoche was here, has the temple, the monastery in Nepal, and then we have his book for sale. Somebody asked, well, what's it like being the abbot of a monastery? I think some people were here. And he goes, well, the first thing is you need some rules. This is somebody that knows what they're doing. You have like the average age is about 15 and you have about 400 of them. You need rules. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we're done. No? Okay. All right. Yeah. So if people wanted, I'll see some people in Darshan and talk more about the story, or people want to learn how to talk more about the development of bodhicitta. The two main ways are the Tonglen and the developing by meditation on your mothers. Personally, I think Tonglen is very difficult. I'll just say it, the mother piece was the step piece to develop bodhicitta based on one's mother was the exoteric practice that Atisha taught and was taught widely. The Tonglen practice was kept secret. And because if it's gotten wrong, then you end up being a codependent mess. So it takes some wisdom, right? It's part of a general mind training. So it's traditional that the Tonglen was secret, means just for individual people, not just, Tonglen's like doing therapy. Okay, should we close?
We shall.
Yeah.
Dedication. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish, and may the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones. Merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators, please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion. Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras. Sankapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages. Losang Drakpa, I make request at your holy feet.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Wonderful.
Thank you. I was
Yes,
going to say
please.
we have announcements.
Announcements. Love announcements.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you, Rinpoche, for your teaching today. And so the announcements I have, I'll try to keep them brief and clear. The first one is that a generous benefactor is doing a matching Day of Giving campaign. And if you donate today through December 7th, she will match your donations up to $5,000, which is incredible. And then the other announcement I have is that on December 7th, which is Saturday in a couple weeks, you have opportunity to be led in Shamatha Vipassana with Rinpoche. So that's from 9 to noon on Saturday the 7th. And then on the 8th, we're going to have these very special items that they'll be put out, maybe, I'm not sure, kind of close to the where Rinpoche sits, where different items that Rinpoche's had over the years. And these are items that for donation, you can take home as kind of a memory of your time with Rinpoche. So they'll be out here available, and we'll have a QR code so you don't have to have cash. And then the last announcement that I have is that some of you maybe saw, some not. If you didn't, we can do a QR code cut-a-line too. We're doing a cut-a-line, a cut-a-line. And so if that's, join me with doing a cut-a-line. And Matthew said, volunteered to pass out the katas. We have some in a red box in the back. So is that, anybody else have something to add to my announcements or? Oh, Connor does. Okay. I'll bring it to him. Oh, yeah, Matthew, can you give it to?
Thanks. So there's sort of a program that's going on that we're sort of starting that more information later, but it is holiday season, Black Step Friday season and such. So if you are planning on updating your iPad, your iPhone, your tablet, your whatever, and it's new and it's in working order, please come see me. I may have a use for your old one that would benefit the temple.
Oh, another announcement.
I just want to put out a reminder that on Mondays, Lama Jinpa has been joining us for the Entering the Path meditation session. In case you guys haven't experienced it yet, it's been pretty awesome.
It is.
Okay, are we going to, Matthew, are you ready?
I've been asked if I did have cut line. It's kind of traditional to, and the big holidays, you just greet the teacher. So some people will be greeting and they want to make a dana operation. You don't always have to do that. It's just like a greeting. So after, and with the big holidays, it can be very nice to just personally say hello and like that. So that's, we should start singing Mani mantra. Oh, laughing. I can drive you home. You stay later, okay? Thank you for your time yesterday. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being a good student.
Get a bunch of these. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, Blue. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, yeah. You're here. It's Chidiche. I've been doing wealth practice for you. Let's keep going on that. Yeah. Thanks for hanging in there, Charles. Don't give up, okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah, Alex. You look radiant today. Thank you for remembering to make an announcement.
Omo araya pazayana indi Om araya pazana